Weird, right? Very, very weird. One heck of an ending. One heck of an ending. We just don't see it coming, even though there's evidence to suggest that we should have. A couple things, let's go ahead and get out of the way. First off, World War II veteran comes home, not quite the same. Just not. For whatever reason. And we don't really know. But there's a lot of interesting things working in the story that the story has going for it. First off, let's talk about Muriel. As far as the character, she's talking to her parents, but not a lot of substance there. I mean, not a whole lot of deep thought goes on. In fact, she's constantly trying to get out of deep conversations with her parents who are very concerned. Now, obviously, we see something has happened with Seymour and the car. It looks like he just ran headlong into some trees. Very possible for an attempted suicide. We don't really know, but we do know that he's been acting okay, and they drove all the way down to where they are now. Excuse me. Let's talk about Seymour. You know what? Scratch it. Let's go back to Muriel. Muriel's parents are very concerned, obviously. We know that they've been, Seymour and Muriel have been together for a while. That she, was waiting for him during the war, all that kind of stuff. He sent her books of poems, and that kind of is interesting. It shows kind of who he was before, or as he was turning, I guess you could say, because he seemed a little bit more considerate. But Muriel is a very interesting character to compare to Seymour. They're both acting weird. It seems like Muriel's in denial, to be honest with you. A lot of it. It's like if it's not there, if she's not hearing it, if she's not talking about it, then it's just not there. And everything's okay with Seymour. Everything's fine. She doesn't have to worry about him anymore. But as we know, Seymour's not okay. He's just not. And that's pretty evident. Now let's talk about, for a moment, Seymour and kids. Because the first time I read this, whenever I was a teenager, it made my spider sense tingle a little bit. But if you think about it for a little more, it's not what you're thinking, or that you might have thought. Seymour seems to be on a quest to kind of reclaim some innocence, almost. Maybe not his own, but it seems that he obviously prefers children as compared to adults. Because he's very mistrusting of adults, because he's seen what adults can do in Germany, in the Nazi regime, what they did to the Jewish nation. I mean, he's just not the same. He's just not the same. And so he's basically kind of, it's one of those things where he's kind of seen the evil that mankind can be possessing, and that he doesn't want anything to do with it. Which I think is kind of an interesting outburst whenever we get to the elevator. But let's not get there first. So let's go ahead, and he's obviously talking with this girl, and they know each other. In fact, there almost seems to be a familial bond. He has this kind of father-like feeling, and he spends his days at this hotel, or his nights, moreover, playing piano. And the little girl's very jealous because another little girl was sitting next to him on the piano while he was playing. Which is kind of a cute scene to think about for a moment. Just some guy playing the piano, and a little girl sitting next to him, probably pretending to play the piano. Whatever it is, very kind of cute. But so it seems like he's trying to surround himself, or he's only interested, or not supposed to interested, but he's more caring for the innocent than he is for society. In fact, Seymour is very much an outsider. Very, very much. I mean, he's at the beach, he's got his bathrobe on, he's not talking to any adults, but he will talk to kids. And then they go swimming. Now, obviously, there's no such thing as a banana fish. Fish, don't eat bananas, and they come out looking like bananas. But let's think about that for a moment. The idea is that this fish goes into one place one way and comes out, and actually, honestly, doesn't come out, really. Eats all these eats all these bananas, yada, 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 and then dies in this little banana cave. And that's very much Seymour. I mean, Seymour kind of is the banana fish. And it's very interesting because remember, he just kind of looks at her and for a moment it's just like, well, they die. You know, they don't come out. They don't come out the same if they did come out. And in his life, they don't really ever come out. And that's kind of like his story, really, is he's not coming out of this. He's not going to be okay. He's not going to be good. And all of this leads up over and over again. We see these little bits of information leading up to the ending, which is very kind of nonchalant and very kind of pedestrian almost until we get to that final sentence or two. Now, what is interesting to me is how, I don't want to say normal because there's not a whole lot normal with Seymour at this point, but how we just don't really see it coming. It's really kind of, it obviously kind of fits into a twist ending, but it challenged our expectations because we just think this is a grumpy guy. It challenges our expectations because we just think that he's just a weirdo that can talk with kids. You know, he's just a weirdo that gets along with kids and hates adults, you know. But that's not really what it is. Seymour is an outsider. And he views children for what they are, very innocent, very pure. And those are things that he's not anymore. Those are things that he's not seen really in quite some time. Because he's been to Germany, he saw the horrors that were there, and he did not come back the same. And that has deeply affected him obviously. Now, the only real interaction we get with an adult or with what we consider a member of society is in the elevator. And he just loses it on this person, you know, stop looking at my feet, you know, there's normal feet, why are you looking at mine? Weird. I mean, just weird, very defensive, very untrusting, that we see there. And then he goes to his hotel room. He looks at Muriel, who is on that other bed, and then very calmly, very nonchalantly goes to his suitcase, moves some shorts and shirts aside, pulls out his gun, puts it to his head, and blows his brains out. Just like that. Just like that. Out of nowhere. We just get this, you know, one of those kinds of things. And that's the end of the story. That's it. That's all we get. And our expectation of what's going to happen, our expectation of Seymour, actually, is just all gone. Even though there's been little bits of it spread throughout, even though there's been plenty of hints for us if we had been paying attention and hadn't been looking at all the other things going around, like his interaction with the person in the elevator, with his interaction with the girl on the beach, in the banana fish story, and then Muriel and her parents. If we've been paying attention, all the bits there, all the evidence there to support this. But then, boom, or bam, I guess. That's not funny. More accurately, that's the end. And what we have left is really just this kind of head-scratching moment, like, what did I just read? What just happened? And so it's very, very interesting how we have this expectation of this grumpy guy who we might have been expecting to go to his hotel room and maybe yell at Muriel, or maybe go out to dinner, or maybe even go play some more piano, or maybe go look for some more banana fish. We don't really know. Our expectation is not he is going to go kill himself. It's just not. Even though there's evidence there. Like, he hasn't been swimming and then he goes swimming. He doesn't talk with adults, then he talks with an adult. He's one of the ultimate outsiders to society, actually, is that he refuses to participate any further. Even though, obviously, first off, that is going to deeply harm Muriel in the future, with relationships and life in general, her parents, and then think of the little girl that obviously looked up to him and cared for him and had, and trusted him. Her friend is gone. Her vacation protector, whatever you want to say, is gone. He's left a mark in the world that's not necessarily positive. But we didn't see it coming. Our expectation has been challenged. Our expectation, even though it's at the very end, and it's one of the most interesting twist endings, and that's another one of our units, but I'm not counting this one. This is an expectation that's been thrown out. Our expectation is of Seymour to continue to kind of be grumpy, but all of a sudden It's gone. Now, what we need to note is a couple things. They're on vacation. This was not a sudden idea because he packed the gun. He packed it. And this was almost a cold calculating decision done very nonchalantly. Maybe he was on the fence about it, but the point is, it was there. The gun was packed. And so he might not have known exactly what he was going to do, but he had a pretty good idea. Alright, so sound off with your blogs. We're going to have Mr. Lynch do his thing here in a moment, so maybe you'll get a whole different take on it. So watch that first before you do your blog, and then after you do your blog, go ahead and do your quiz. Hopefully it's like the first quiz, very, very simple, short answer, 1 or 2 words, just fill it out. Just basically prove to me that you did read the story. And your blog is where we'll be looking at our critical thinking skills and our analytical skills. And then with the end of our unit, with the unit discussion, we'll be getting a little bit more in depth and a little bit more interactive. So I'm really looking forward to that. So guys, good job coming this far. Go ahead and look at Mr. Lynch's video lecture first, and then do the assignments. Cheers. Proud of you. Keep up the good work, guys.